I think I may have done a Charlie Chaplin video before, but I want to do it this anyway because I was reading about him last night after I watched Modern Times. Um, because, like I said, he was against abuse of all kinds. Um, and I was reading his bio because I know that he was an abused child. I know that he was abused while he was younger. Um, but his mom, when he was younger, was put in an insane asylum, and his dad wasn't around. And so Charlie got put in the workforce when he was 7 years old. And then um, when he was 9, his mom was out of the insane asylum, so he and his brother went back with her, and then she went crazy again. So he went back in the workforce when he was 9 years old, and then she didn't really come out at all, really, and so he and his brother were sent to live with their father that they didn't know, and he was an alcoholic, and child services were called a lot because he was an abusive drunk. And that is why Charlie Chaplin so against any sort of abuse. When it came to children being abused, it affected him a lot because he came from that kind of situation. But any kind of abuse, animal and woman as well, he was completely against. Um, but when he was 14, his brother, I believe, had joined the Navy or, yeah, something like that. So he was kind of left on his own. And when he was 14, he lived on the street and he would go around making for food, and he didn't have money and he was always struggling. And his dad had died not too long after they moved in with him, like maybe a year or two or so later. From drinking too much. But when he died, their mom came out of the mental hospital and she stayed with him again until he was 14, and then she went crazy again and had to go back. And his brother was in the Navy, and so he was all alone, and he had to take care of himself, and he had nowhere to go. But then, a little while after that, his brother did come back from the Navy and took care of him. And then from there, Buster started working, doing little, like, trying to get into show business. And then, of course, he got in the show business and changed his life. But it's just like, to read all the struggles that this person went through, and he wasn't a happy person. Um, as much as the comedy films would make you believe, he wasn't unhappy. Like, I'm not saying that he was never happy, but there was a lot of sadness in him from that whole chunk of his childhood that really messed him up. And I mean, I don't really blame him for that, but he kind of had a sadness in him, and it was something that never went away. Um, no matter how much people loved him and how much he had a wife and he loved her very much and they were married to her, he died, and he treated her well, and he had kids, and he loved his kid and he treated them well, and he was happy to have them around. But there's someone that goes through that much in their life at such a young age, I don't think that they could ever really move on from that. And I think it was hard for him, and especially like he was doing these films during the Depression, and he felt wrong doing them. But he knew it made people happy and made him forget. But at the same time, he felt bad because it was such a serious time that they were going through, and he felt like it was mocking them, the people that were suffering. Like, I'm happy and you're not. Like, he felt kind of, I don't know, like he was dumping something in their face when they had nothing, and he had money and they didn't. And not a lot, but he did have more money than them, and he did donate a lot of his money and stuff like that. But still got to him, and then that's another thing. That's another reason he was kind of down a lot, was because of that. So he had a lot of inner struggles, so many, and yet he was able to do so many great films, and he was a good person all around. Um, and that's good. He came from not so good background and was a great person. And there are so many celebrities that go through hard times and they're completely like not good people at all, and they always blame it on that. But there are so many people that, like Charlie Chaplin, who go through hell in their life and they're amazing. And there's no excuse to not to be a good person. Like, you could be mistreated, but you, when you're out of that, you can completely be who you want, and you can be a good person. It's proof over and over and over again that it's possible. And so yeah, I wanted to do that about Charlie Chaplin. I, I mean, I didn't write it down, but I was going by what I read, and I'm pretty sure some of the ages were off, but that's pretty much the story. Like, that's the story. The ages might be off a little bit. I know that he did go to North when he was 7 years old, and I know his mom was in the mental hospital, and when he was 14, she stayed in the hospital and died there because she was getting too bad for anyone to take care of her. But yeah, um, that is all. Oh, that is all. Goodbye.